Okay, so good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. I hope everybody can hear me and can all see my screen. So last week we discussed about empathizing with our users via conducting user research. We talked about different types of user research, the qualitative, the quantitative. We talked about when to conduct user research. Is it before you design, when you're designing, or after the design process, after product launch? Talked about types of questions to ask in the when you're conducting your user research. We um, we went into details on open-ended questions, talked about closed-ended questions, and when and where they are supposed to be used for, what kind of information that they questions would technically give you qualitative information on users. So give you information about their needs, their wants. It will give you information on why they are behaving a certain way or why some certain problems are occurring. While close-ended questions will give you quantitative information, how much and how many. So we talked about all that. Talked about the different types of research methods, survey, interview, field-based tests, A&B testing, usability testing, a lot. There were a lot. So we went through all that, and today we're going to continue with empathize. We're going to we're going to delve into market research in the form of competitive analysis. So last week on Monday, we were focusing more on user research, where we are researching on our users, the people we are creating a product for. But today we are going to be doing research into our markets, competitors that are creating products similar to ours. How do you analyze them and how do we get feedback from this? What feedback are we going to get and how are we going to utilize this feedback to create the product possible as UI UX designer? So that's our goal for today. So now let's okay, so what is market research? Market research is basically everything I talked about on Monday. It's user research and more. Market research involves collecting and analyzing data about our target markets, including the user needs, their behaviors, the trends, their preferences to inform design and business decisions. So this may include primary research or secondary research. Primary research, like I stated last week, include things like surveys, interviews, field studies, usability testing. So primary research is in this sense is that we are getting the information from the user directly. Like we are the ones synthesizing the information, we're the one generating the information from the users. We are asking them questions and we're getting replies to these questions. So that's where primary research comes from. Is my voice breaking? Please let me know if my voice is breaking. Or is it only Desmond? Some people said my voice is breaking, and some people said, okay, I guess my voice is breaking. Hold on. How is it now? And it's better now. How is it now? Better. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so let me start again. Market research. Market research involves user research that I talked about on Monday and more. So market research involves collecting and analyzing data about our target markets, the users, their needs, the behaviors, the trends, their preferences. We take this information to inform our business decisions, our design decisions, whatever we're going to design. We collect this information from the market, from our users. That's basically what market research involves. And I mentioned that there are two types of market research. You have the primary research where you're synthesizing or you're getting information from users directly. You're the one asking the questions and you're the one getting the answers. You're the one initiating the whole research. That's primary research. Where you have surveys, you have interviews, reviews, you have studies, and you have usability testing and other types that we mentioned last week. So secondary research involves things like existing stats, articles, trend analysis. So now in secondary research, you're not the one generating the information yourself. We are getting information from already existing reports. It's like using Google Analytics to tell you how many users are using a certain website. So now you're not asking questions. You're not the one generating this data or getting replies, but you're okay. I can't hear you. Is there anybody else? Really sorry about that. So secondary research involves getting research data from existing reports, stats, and articles. So now comparative analysis is a form of market research. It's a focused form of market research that helps you understand how your competitors what they offer and how they meet customer needs. So you should remember now that we are still in the empathize stage of the design process. We are still empathizing. We are still trying to understand our consumers. We are still trying to we have found a problem and we are trying to find a solution to it. Let's say that's that's the stage we are now in the whole design process. So computer analysis involves is involves kind of market research that helps you understand how your competitors operate. Competitors in the sense that whatever whatever solution that you might have in mind for whatever problem you're trying to solve, it's very possible that that solution is out already. It's very possible that there are some people that are offering that those same services already. So before you go blindly into producing a product, you should be sure or you should ensure that you're not doing what someone else has already done, because that would be a waste of money and time and resources. So market research versus competitive research, I've said this already. So while market research deals with what is happening in the industries, what the users want, and where the gaps are, market research it looks broadly at the entire market. It narrows in to businesses, to specific businesses that offer similar or substitute products to your products or to the problem you're trying to solve, the solution you're offering. So competitive analysis looks at who else is solving this problem, how well are they solving this problem, and how you can stand out. So why do we engage in competitive analysis? Why do we do competitive analysis? This is because you're not the only one trying to build a flawless user experience. You might have seen a problem, you might have had an idea, and you might have gotten a solution to it, but it's very possible that that solution is already out there. So the first rule of in UI UX design is to check your competitors, see what is already out there. You don't start from scratch when something has already been created for you. The market is filled with companies building similar or unique product features, experimenting with UX strategies, and delivering fresh design solutions to improve customer experience. So, how do you get ahead? How does your solution to the solution that is already existing? So let's say you have an idea to create a music application, but there's already Spotify, there's already YouTube, there's already Apple Music. So how do you your products to make it better? That's the reason why we involve ourselves in this competitive analysis. So by analyzing your competitors' UX, you can size up the competition and learn from their mistakes and identify new opportunities to improve your user experience. This is everything I've been saying before. What is competitive analysis? Competitive analysis is simply the process of identifying and evaluating your competitors' products, their strategies, their strengths, their weaknesses, and their user experiences to gain insights that can help improve your own products. So it is a research strategy to study your rivals in the market. It evaluates your competitors' strengths, weakness, features, opportunities, their threats. It helps standardize and improve your own product design and usability. Because when you conduct competitive analysis, you're not just building a product from scratch, bidding on top of someone's product because it's already out there. The only thing you can do at this time is to improve it. So when you conduct competitive analysis, it gives you that reign, that whole that leverage, that's a pool of information that this has already been created, this has already been done a certain way. You can either make it better or make it worse. So why do we perform competitive analysis? Like I said before, it helps us inform our design process by allowing us to benchmark our products against industry standards. So by benchmarking your product against industry standards, this means this means that your product from the start should have a certain standard. Let's say there are products that are available already in the industry now, and they are of a certain standard. They have a certain value. They have they are at a certain pinnacle. For instance, their UI is this way, their UX is this way. They have reached a certain, you know how technology evolves. So thank you, Ademoye. Okay, so like I was saying, I just keep repeating the importance of competitive analysis. It helps you to learn from competitors' successes and their mistakes. So you're not starting from afresh, you are working on what has already been done before. And like I said before, it can only get better. So competitive analysis also helps us to identify market gaps and opportunities. It helps us to strategically position our product's unique value, and it facilitates user-centered design decisions. So when should we be conducting a UX competitive analysis? So there is no wrong time to conduct a competitive analysis. You can conduct it at any stage of the design process. You can conduct it at the empathize stage, at the define stage, at the idea stage, but the best time to conduct a competitive analysis, the time when you can reap the most benefits, is as early as possible, the early stages of the design. When when you have just discovered this problem or you've just discovered this solution, or when you're searching into your users. Like last week I talked about survey and user interviews. When you're asking them about a problem, you're asking your users about particular problem, and they're venting to you and telling you about whatever problem it is or solutions that they have tried. In that situation, there will be some applications or there will be some applications or websites that they would mention to you at that situation. So by conducting a UX competitive analysis early, you can use this insight to inform your entire UX workflow while avoiding costly resource draining mistakes. During product discovery, you haven't yet started designing solutions. Instead, you're setting objectives, building user personas, researching competitors to guide your decision and the development process. Like I said before, you are in you're conducting an interview with a user, and you're asking them about problems they have encountered while using an application. So this is a form of competitive analysis when you narrow it down to a specific application that they have been using. So there they tell you about the flaws, the problems they have encountered. So it's helped you to leverage on the competitors' weaknesses. So when they complain about something, you think of how to make it better. It helps to leverage on their successes. When the user mentions what they like about an application, how easy it is to use, what they like, whether it's minimalistic, simple to use, and it's very intuitive. These are things that you can leverage on and grasp to help to make your own solution better than the existing solutions. So now a step-by-step guide. How do we conduct this competitive analysis? First of all, you have to identify competitors. So we begin by identifying competitors and placing their name in a competitive matrix. So for this competitive analysis, you can use a spreadsheet, you can use pen and paper, you can use your Google document to do it. Just you can basically. So there are two main types of competitors that you'll be assessing within the market. You have the direct competitors and the indirect competitors. The direct competitors you are offering to the same audience, while the indirect competitors would serve the same need but with a different approach. For example, let's say age now, Jumia Food is an application where you can order from different restaurants and they deliver the food to you. So Jumia Food, they do not produce the food themselves. It's not a restaurant that you're buying from, but it's a food delivery application. So direct access to Jumia Foods will be applications like Bolt Foods or Global, which lets users browse local restaurants and order meals for delivery. But indirect competitors will be apps like Domino Pizza's app. So Domino Pizza app now is also a food application and they would also deliver food to you. They are doing the same job. For Domino Pizza application, it's tailored to Domino Pizzas. So in this sense, the only thing you'll probably be able to order from the application is just pizza. So it's not as diverse as the Jumia Foods or Bolt Foods or Global. Or another indirect competitor would be food tutorial applications, which helps users make meals at home instead of ordering out. So now you see that indirect competitors, they might not do exactly the same thing that your competitors are doing or that you are doing, but they will be indirectly competing with you. Because now for the food tutorial application, someone that downloads a food tutorial application would be less likely to order food from Jumia Foods. And someone that has Domino Pizza application, though it's not as diverse as Jumia Foods, if there's pizza, you can get pizza with Jumia Foods and you can also get pizza with Domino Pizza's app. So it's still a competitor in that sense, but it's indirectly competing with you compared to both Foods and Global, which is doing exactly the same thing as Jumia Foods is doing. Then now to find your competitors, we have talked about the direct and indirect competitors. And yes, as a general rule of when you're conducting competitive analysis, it's best to look for about 3 to 5 direct competitors and two in the main your main the main place you're looking at is at direct competitors, but you can always learn something from indirect competitors. Maybe it's the way they work or it's the way they give they conduct their services. So just as a general rule of thumb, find about 3 to 5 direct competitors and two indirect competitors and analyze them. To find your competitors, you can start with market research. You can, when you read through market reports, industry publications, and directories, it's as simple as going to Google and typing in a problem or typing in food delivery application, and you see a lot there. You see a lot. You see a lot of food delivery applications. So this is one of the ways to find your competitors. Or it can be as simple as conducting research with surveys and interviews to ask users about any alternatives they have considered. You're asking users, maybe your research is on students or busy, busy, busy people who do not have time to. So one of your research questions in your surveys may be, what applications do you use to what applications do you use to order food at this moment? What alternatives have you been using that has probably not satisfied you? So these are the ways you can identify your competitors because the users would give you that information. I've been using Jumia Foods, I've been using Glovo, but something, something, something. They don't offer they don't answer on time. The food doesn't come hot, or like I received the food 3 hours after ordering it. So these are complaints, and this is also a form of competitive analysis, competitive research, sorry. So also consider product companies with products or services people might use to substitute for your product. To give you a non-digital example, let's say you want to you want to get snacks. You have gotten your drinks, maybe Coke or Fanta or whatever, and you want to get gala, like the regular gala that is red and white, but it's not available. You might go for something else like Biggie. So these are competitors. These are things that people might substitute for your product, and it helps you identify your so this is the first step in competitive analysis. You have to identify your competitors. You don't just identify any random application because it might not give you the information that you are looking for. So now the second step is to document key areas. Now you have identified the competitors. It's time to look at what they do well, what they could do better, and what you should be focusing on within your own design solution. So now you can look at their positioning. How does each competitor define themselves in the market? How do they differentiate themselves? How do they differentiate themselves? It's like we have different social media applications. We have WhatsApp, you have Instagram, you have YouTube, you have Twitter. They are they are basically the same thing. They are all social media applications where they have little things that differentiate them. Instagram is known as the visually inclined social media application because there's a lot of pictures, a lot of visuals, a lot of videos and all. Twitter is more text based. You see a lot more of threads and comments, text and all. So these are the different ways that these applications have differentiated themselves. WhatsApp is known as is more most people in the circle that will see your WhatsApp are your friends, your close family. Some people prefer WhatsApp because it's not as open as Instagram or YouTube where anybody can find you. So these are the different ways that this same application, they are all social media applications, but they have found ways to differentiate themselves in the market. Because if they were all doing the same thing, you wouldn't have Instagram and WhatsApp on your phone. You would just because there's no use of having two different applications that do exactly the same thing. So now you have to document key areas of your competitors, their value positions. So what is each competitor's their main offer? What are the problems they solve and the benefits they offer their target audiences? Also, what are their target audience? What is the specific group of that the competitors aim to serve? Like the example I gave before, where I talked about food delivery applications. Now, when you check Google or you type on Google for food delivery application and you see things like Jumia Foods, Glovo, and Bolt Foods now. But now the target audience of those people, those applications or those food delivery applications would be might be middle-aged people or young. But let's say you're in a university environment. Okay, can you hear me now? So let's say you're in a university environment and you want to tailor your application to city student. So now there's is not an option, but you differentiate your here by having a different target audience. By having a different target audience. So now your application would be different. Hold on. Okay, it's like I was saying. Wait, I was not talking. David, can you hear me now? David, can you hear me now? Please let me know if I continue. All right, thank you, iPhone. Please change your name to your first and your last name so I can call on you if need be. So now their positioning, you talk about their target audience, the specific people each competitors aim to serve. So the key advantage, what is the main advantages that differentiate this competitor from other competitors or even your brand or whatever you're trying to apart from positioning, you have their pricing. What is the cost structure? What is the cost structure of each competitor's product or services? While this is not directly related to UX, always help on hand and can help analytics to price and doing your evaluation. For people that use Spotify or you use YouTube Music or use Apple Music, it has different pricings, and sometimes pricing is enough to 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 steer you in one direction or to help you make your decision. You might choose to go for the cheaper one. You might choose to go for the more cost effective one. So it depends. So pricing is also a key area to document when doing competitive analysis, because the whole goal of a product or service is to earn more, or to have to to s- um to trade that value given for money. So pricing are a key area that we document and conducting competitive analysis. Also, feature stability. How usable is this? How usable is application or are your competitors? So this encompasses your competitors' function and their features and how easy their products and services are to use. This may include their strengths, their weaknesses, the information architecture. How easy is it to navigate through the product? If someone is looking for their profile, how easy is it to go to the profile section and click on it? Like for someone using Discord, Discord is a very complex application. So if a competitor, someone that wants to create something similar to Discord, um, decides to use decides to conduct this competitive analysis, we'll find out that okay, maybe the information architecture of Discord is very it's not very user friendly. People find it hard to navigate Discord in their first at the beginning at the in their first instance. Sorry. So now this is a part you can leverage. Make your own information architecture easier to understand. Another thing is the interface design. How intuitive is the interface? What other observations do you have on the UI, the accessibility, the responsiveness in different screens, the color that they are using, the compatibility with screen readers? Responsiveness in the sense that an application that you are using in your website, in your laptop, should be able to adjust to your phone screen sizes. So how responsive are your competitors' whatever digital product that they are trying to sell? Is it very accessible? Is not accessible? How can you improve on your own product? So specific flow tests. You can also analyze the different flows that users engage with when completing tasks and score them out of 5. It can have any benchmark that you want. So some specific flow tests could be the sign up and login. How easy is it to sign up and log in on their platforms? The find flights. How easy is it to how easy or difficult it is to complete their main objectives? The checkout user flow, the steps users take to purchase the product or services, get support, how users find help when struggling with free up. So analyzing the features and the usability, the user friendliness of the things. Like someone asked in the last class, you can use Play Store. You can use Play Store as an avenue for this. Just go to an application, type Jumia Foods, you go to their user rating, you will see different reviews, the good and the bad, the critical. So you can get this information and document them as your step two in your competitive analysis. Then your third step now is to analyze the data that you have gotten. The data that you have just documented, you have to analyze them using SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis is a very common analysis method. I'm sure a lot of us might be familiar with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So strengths, what are your competitors are especially good at when it comes to UX? What are their strengths? Perhaps their websites are incredibly intuitive, or they have a simpler sign up flow. How how pretty maybe their designs are very pretty to look at. It's very eye catching. It's very minimalistic or simple to use. Just to say, sometimes when you see an application you're trying to build something similar to that application, but when you see how good it is, you just feel discouraged because they already did very well in that particular application. So this is where you garner information from their strengths. What are they very good at? And this is something you can inculcate in your own applications, something you can keep and try to imbibe in your own applications. They look at their weaknesses. Where do your competitors fall short? Are their landing pages too confusing? Do they effectively communicate their offerings? Can you identify pain points they fail to solve throughout the user journeys? So these weaknesses are probably places that people would be are probably places where people would be complaining about. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So these are the weaknesses, and most of the times, weaknesses is where you find opportunities because from their weakness, if you're able to leverage on their weakness, you would find opportunities that you can use to make your applications better. So based on competitor information, what can your UX solution do? What can you do to solve an issue that their users are experiencing? Perhaps they lack clear and easy to understand content, making it difficult for potential users to understand the value proposition. Sometimes your problems could be as small as user feedback or help and customer service. If you find that most of the problems people are complaining about in a particular applications are their customer service or how buggy the applications is, it's an opportunity you can leverage to make yours better. So their threats, what are your competitors' factor? What are your competitors' UX factors that could potentially harm your processes, your process? For example, a competitor may include an AI tool that instantly scans the web for the cheapest airline tickets in that area, demonstrating quick value. So threats now, these threats could be to you or to them. So what is a particular feature that these competitors have that you think would support your own product? And how can you leverage this to make yours better? So once you have the first step, identify your competitors. Second step, you analyze, not analyze, you document key factors such as positioning, their positioning and all that. Then the third step, analyze the data that you have gotten in step two using SWOT analysis. So there are also other methods of analyzing the data, but we'll get there eventually. So now the last step now is to summarize your findings. So usually you can create a comparison table or a matrix for clarity and compare all competitors side by side with your criteria. So now if you look here, you see competitor one, competitor two, just create a table. It could be as simple as possible. It could be as complex as you want. Just write the name of the competitors, their products, what price they're offering, appearance in the sense of their brand positioning, what's their color, what's their font, their brand itself. When you see KodeCamp or Code House as a product, they use blue and green. So most of the time when you see blue and green from afar or from anywhere you see, the first thing you think of is CodeCamp. This is brand identity. So what's their brand identity? What's the quality of their products, their packaging, their reach? So it depends on what values or what key factors you are using to you're trying to analyze or you are trying to check. That's what will form this column of your table. So now when you are done with this, when you are done with summarizing all your findings, you can use this to draw key insights. You find out what are your users praising, what are they complaining about, what features are considered valuable, and where the competitors fall short. So at this point, we are able to summarize our findings and we're done with competitor analysis. We are from I've gotten this whole information and we want to synthesize it to make our products better. Now, why does competitive analysis matter in UI UX design? Why do we do this? Why, like, of what value is it to UI UX design? I've already said this before. They help us understand user expectations based on industry norms. So they help us understand user expectations. It's just like someone has already been using an application and you're bringing your own application. So the first things user would expect is that your application should reach the standard of whatever they have been using before. They are not settling for any less. So it helps us understand their expectations and, if possible, surpass it. So it enables us to identify market gaps or unmet user needs. We learn from competitors' successes and their failures. We avoid reinventing the wheel because we already know what works and what doesn't. It involves positioning and strategy, and it helps create differentiated and user-centered products. We're able to position our product and differentiate it from the crowd or what is already available when we have conducted this competitive analysis. So now, in conducting competitive analysis, we can also imbibe these heuristic principles. So now, what are heuristic principles? The heuristic principles are general principles. They are not specific guidelines. They are general. They are broad. That can serve as a practical checklist to identify and address usability issues, ensuring that digital products are intuitive, efficient, and user friendly. So after the SWOT analysis, when you're done with your SWOT analysis, that's your step three of competitive analysis. You can also conduct a heuristic evaluation of those products of your competitors, of even your own products. So there are different heuristic principles, but considering Jacob Nelson's 10 heuristic principles. So Jacob Nelson's usability heuristic. So heuristic is just a a fancy word for principles. So these are basically usability principles for evaluating and designing user interfaces. So now we have been seeing different user interfaces. We have been seeing different applications, different websites, different ways you can put different stuffs. So how do we know that? How do we gauge these things? Is there a standard or is there a framework we can use to evaluate if this design we are seeing now is actually how it's supposed to be? So this is what we use this Jacob Nelson's 10 heuristic principles to do. It's a checklist to identify and address usability issues. So I don't know if that makes sense, but let's get closer. So Jacob Nelson defined 10 usability heuristics that helps create a better user experience. So these usability heuristics would guide you to create a user experience that feels clear and intuitive to people visiting your product or your website. They help you spot and solve usability issues efficiently. Usability issues, remember, these are usability principles or usability heuristics. The focus here is on usability. We are done with the UI, you're done with the UX. Are people able to still are able to use your application? So how usable, how user friendly are your applications? So that's what this checklist helps to that's the information they try to provide. So now in competitive analysis, we can use this checklist or this 10 usability heuristic to gauge if our competitors are on the right track. Which of the heuristic principles are they failing in, and where can we get better at? So the principle one, I hope everybody is following. I hope everybody's following. Nobody is lost. Let's see. Please, give me an emoji or a reaction if you are following. Following. Thank you. Desmond is lost. Desmond, where are you lost? Thank you so much. Heuristic principles. Okay. Okay, like I was saying before, heuristic principles are general principles that serve as a practical checklist to identify and address usability issues, ensuring that digital products are intuitive, efficient, and user friendly. So now we have designed a product. Let's say we have designed a product, or let me start from us as UI designers, as let me start from us as the as case study. We have designed a product, you have done things this way, you have done things the other way, but like you're a newbie. Let's say you, I don't know how to explain how I'm going to put it. Understand very well, but You have designed a product now and you want to know if this product is usable, if it crosses all the checklists. So, like this Jacob Nelson, these are people before us. They have created this checklist. Is a set of 10 laws or 10 principles that our design or whatever design that is out there should follow. These are laws that our design should obey, basically. So now, when conducting competitive analysis, it's usually helpful to compare our competitors' products to these heuristic principles. Which of these heuristic principles are they failing at? Which of these heuristic principles are they good at? Where can we improve? So this is just a method of conducting competitive analysis similar to the SWOT analysis I've mentioned before. So now Jacob Nelson, he defined 10 usability heuristics that helps to create better user experiences. So now the first one is the visibility of system status. Visibility of system status. So now this principle states that this system should always keep users informed about what is going on through appropriate and timely feedback. So this involves things like progress bars. When you delete a when you delete something, you should have a notification that comes up and says deleted. Progress bars in your LMS now. In your LMS, if you're in stage 0, I'm sure in everybody's LMS there's a progress bar that's with a blue indicator. So depending on how far you have gone in the boot camp, it, it it progresses in that way. So this is a method of making our status visible to users. So at every point or at every place, at every point that a user is using an application, there should be an indicator, there should be feedback on what is happening. So this involves things like progress bars during uploads, notifications after completing and actions. They help you to understand the system's current state. So in so questions to the questions to ask yourself involving in this principle one is system feedback immediate? When you do something critical in an application, do you get feedback that this thing has happened, or are you just lost and out of loop? For example, now these are the same design. Let's say you sent a message and you saw done. So now you might see done and you might be like, okay, yes, I've sent the message has been sent, but there might be some level of doubt. You might have deleted something and they're telling you don't that you have deleted that stuff. So it's not clear on what has happened. The feedback is not clear. But now in this other side, you see message sent. The notification is very clear. What has happened? The message has been sent, and options to undo or to view the message are also given to users. So now, see, the system status is very, very visible because now we know that at this point in time we just sent a message, and we're also given options to undo or to view the message. That's what the first principle says: visibility of system status. So now when we are analyzing a competitor application or their website or their apps, as we are interacting with it, is our status visible? Is the feedback we are getting, is it immediate? Are we out of loop? Is it intuitive? Is everything flowing? So that's the question you're supposed to be asking yourself regarding this principle one, visibility of system status. So the second is you should match there should be a match between system and the real world. So interface should speak the user's language using familiar words, phrases, concepts rather than system-oriented terms. These are simple as using a trash can icon for deleting files, a microscope as a search icon, or save instead of commit to database. So the question you should be asking yourself here is the terminology user-friendly? Is it possible to see an icon in the, are you seeing an icon in the application that you do not understand what it's used for? So it's saying here that interfaces should be speaking the user's languages and using familiar words and concepts, not just not complex terminologies that are not user friendly. So Here now you are seeing in this place you are seeing two different icons. When you look at the first one now, you're a bit confused. Like, what does this thing mean? Is this a memory card? Is it a document? Is it a file? We have an idea of what it's supposed to mean, but because it's too complex, you are kind of you're moving back and forth. Like, what is if I click on this? Where am I actually going to? Because it's more complex than it ought to be. But in the second one, you see that this is just it's very easy to know that this is a notebook application. It's all the lines, the cover, the dots and all. So it's very easy. This might be a notebook application or a tax application, but just you just know it's something that you have to write on. That's just the because it's familiar to us. It resembles a notebook that we use in the real world. So that's the second principle. The system, the interface should match the real world. That's for the second principle. For the third principle talks about user control and freedom. Users often make mistakes, so interfaces should provide clear ways to undo and actions or exit unwanted states. For example, undo and redo buttons or a cancel option should be available in forms. So, like this example I give here, where you sent a message, if an option to undo it was immediately available, so this first one is obeying principle one, but the second one undo is obeying principle three. So these are the different principles that encompasses the user applications or different principles that we have to obey to ensure that our application or whatever we are designing is usable. At this point, you do not even have to test it with the users. Before you start testing with users, you should ensure that whatever you are creating or whatever you are designing obeys these 10 principles. So now, let's say you're onboarding in a platform or you're trying to log in. You know the whole login process where you start seeing some fancy pictures and some words. That's the onboarding screens. Sometimes it might be stressful. You don't want to see all this. You just want to log in. You just want to log in immediately. You just want to sign up. So there should be a in there. So this helps you, this gives users control and freedom to do what they want. Sometimes they do not want to watch all these fancy videos or watch the on video. So that's why the skip button is always available. If I want to exit this, I can easily click on escape and exit this whole slide. If I want to leave this meeting, I can click on leave and click this whole. So it gives the user control. You're using my application, but you have control and freedom to do whatever you want. So even as simple as the back for for every screen in a user, every screen in a UX in a design, the back button is always readily available. So the users can go back to where they were before. So this is just the whole idea of control. So the question you should be asking yourself here is there an undo and exit option? Does the user have the option to undo a specific action, or the user have the option to exit this place? So you have to give the users total freedom and control over whatever is being done at any moment in time. For this example I gave here, you see in this is a text that's been sent, or this is a document or whatever it is. One has reply, forward, copy. But let's say I want to delete it and I type something by mistake and I don't feel comfortable that this is out there. I want to delete it, but there's no option to delete. So this creates it creates angst and animosity within me because I want to delete this. I'm not comfortable deleting this. So you not giving me the option to delete this will make me not like you. Compared to the one at the right where you have the edit option, I made a tiny mistake. I don't want to delete it. I just want to edit a little some little things. I can easily click on edit and change what I want to change. The delete option, delete what I want to delete. Like WhatsApp as at before, as at last year, WhatsApp did not have this edit option, but it had to take inspiration from Telegram and Instagram has already been using this edit option and imbibe and as at now WhatsApp has this edit option. So this is part of three user control and freedom. So at any point in time, the user should not feel stuck in your application or whatever application they are using. So now for the fourth principle is consistency and standards. Consistency and standards. So users should not have to wonder whether different words, situations, or actions mean the same thing or belong together. It should be a consistency. It should be a standard. If you're using orange as your brand color, as your primary color, it should be orange throughout. So using standard icons like a magnifying glass, consistent button styles. Sometimes you might see if my button, I'm using a round button, it should be round everywhere. I should not use round button. Then at a point, I feel like using a square button. So it creates this can it's my network is okay. So the questions you should be asking yourself here is, are UI components the same across all screens? So now for this example here, you see these are different tabs or um different pills. This one has a rounded border radius. This one is square. And see, this one is also rounded again, and this one is not filled. This one is outlined. So this is it's inconsistent and it can leave the user confused. Like, are they doing the same thing? What does this mean for this? Does this mean that this is like what does this mean? Does this mean that this is being selected? Does it mean that this is not being selected? It's very confusing and it can get users confused on what is happening. The same thing with the one down here. This one is circular. The border radius is almost circular. One is a smaller border radius and a smaller border radius. So there's a lot of inconsistencies here and it can leave users feeling confused. Compared to the one on the right hand that is the same. It's the same colors all through, the same border radius all through. Okay. And before we continue, user, you raised your hand. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, good evening.
Good
What I wanted
evening.
to ask is there is I have this UBA bank app. The last
Okay.
button you showed, one is filled and the one is unfilled. So the one that is unfilled is showing me signing, while
Okay.
the one that is filled is showing me to use I think it's asking me to do something there. So sometimes most of these app they
Mm.
use most of these things. They don't I don't know why they do that so but
Okay,
yeah.
let me answer your question. Let me answer your question. What they are doing, that's they are not defying this fourth law of consistency. What they are doing there is they are trying they are there's another law. There are different laws of UX. They are trying is I think it's the law of hierarchy. It's an hierarchy. There's a certain importance. I do not want to go there now, but let me just answer your question. For this here now, these are not buttons. These are like tabs. So they should be consistent. Let's say now, if I click on meditation here, this meditation that is here at this health and sports at this the right side, if I click on meditation here and it turns to this, it becomes maybe it changes color and becomes purple. It doesn't mean that it's not inconsistent. It just means that meditation has been selected. So it's when you start seeing this is when meditation, workout, yoga, pilates are all they're all in the same state. Let me use state as the keyword here. They're all in the same state now, or they're all performing the same purposes, but they have different visuals, different UI visuals. So that's when it becomes inconsistent. So now for you now they are saying the login and the sign up button. Most of the time the login button, the most important button might be filled and the less important button might be outlined instead. I don't know if you are visualizing it as I'm saying it. This does not mean that they're inconsistent. It's just laying emphasis on one button. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
It does make sense. All right, thank you. So when we get there, you start seeing the whole idea of everything. The whole idea of it. So now principle 5, error prevention. So now this principle asks us to design the system to prevent problems before they even occur. So either eliminate error prone conditions or check for them and present users with the confirmation options before they commit to the action. So this whole principle is about preventing errors even before they happen. If we know that something is bound to happen, if we keep it a certain way, and we do not want that stuff to happen, remove it from there. So this is as simple as disabling the submit button until all required fields are filled. Let's say you are trying to register for something, and your mouse, you're moving your mouse across the screen, and perhaps by mistake or whatever mistake, you click on the submit button before you are done in filling in the form. Now this is an error. An error has occurred because you did not fill in the form. You did not finish filling in the form before you submitted. So to prevent this error now, you see in some there are some applications where you see that the submit button is kind of is disabled. I mean, before you must fill everything before the submit button becomes active, before you can click on it and actually submit. For example, let's say in when you are using Google Form,
So I want to figure out that siapa hati ni semua
David, please mute your mic. All right. Okay, so I was giving an example using Google Forms. Google Forms, you're trying to Google Form, you're responding to a Google Form, you're answering the questions. So now until you are done answering all those questions, you will not be able to click on the submit button. So this prevents errors so that you you do not click on the submit button by mistake, even when you're not done filling all the required information. Now, in this error prevention principle, the question you should be asking yourself here are questions like, are confirmation dialog boxes present for critical actions? Sometimes when you're deleting something, let's say in your Google Drive or your Google document, you're trying to delete a file. When you click on delete, it doesn't delete immediately. They ask you, there's a dialog asks you, are you sure you want to delete this? So that's a way to prevent error because it's we do not know what is happening with our users. We do not know it could be a baby carrying that just clicked on enter and deleted it by mistake. So it's our job to prevent as much errors as possible, make the experience good for the user. So now for here, this is an example where you have bicycle. So in this example now, we we are not meeting our users at where they are because from this is bicycle. There's just a one error in the spelling of this. So with this other implementation, you can easily see that the bicycle has been corrected and other options have been given to user. What do you want? So it meets the users at where they are, basically. So at the sixth principle now is recognition rather than recall. Recognition rather than recall. It's it's common knowledge that users or humans we we recognize things easier than we recall things. That's why usually in that's why they usually say that objective exams are easier than theory exams because in theory exams you have to recall things. You're given a question and you have to write down a lot of things. So it's you're working on recall, what your brain can remember basically. But in objective exams, you're working on recognition. Once you see a question and you see the options, if you see the one that you recognize, once you recognize it immediately, you click on it. So it's easier for us to recognize something than to recall something. So we are trying to apply this principle to UI UX, where we are going to minimize the user's memory load by making elements, actions, and options visible so that users do not have to remember information from one part of the user interface to another. So, like for this example I gave here now, you're trying to search for something. Have you ever been on Instagram and you want to search for someone's name, but you kind of if you're forgotten the person's name that you're trying to search for? But with this other option, yeah, you see things like recent searches. You see people that you have searched for before, and you can easily click on one of them. So this is recognition. Remembering Gustavo Diaz is harder than recognizing it. Once you see this, you already know, okay, this is the person I'm looking for. But it might not be that easy to recall the name from your memory. So these are the different ways we apply this principle six. So in this principle six, the question you should be asking here is, do menus show options instead of hidden commands? This is just one question you should be asking yourself. There are other questions you should be asking yourself based on, are we asking our users to recall things, or are we asking them to recognize things? It's our job as UI UX designers to make things as easy as possible for users. So we should try as much as possible to minimize their memory load. That's for the sixth principle. And for the seventh principle, it's a lot. There are a lot of principles. There are 10. So we have flexibility and efficiency of use. Interfaces should cater to both inexperienced and experienced users, allowing users to tailor frequent actions. So flexibility and efficiency of use. Flexible means that our product should not be rigid. It should be flexible. It's as simple as having, let me say, this cut. Like when I want to copy something, I want to cut something. I do not always have to right click on my keyboard or right click on my mouse. I click on my mouse to get these cut options. I can do it as easy as control C or control V or control X, or whatever, or if you're using Mac, so command X, command C, command V. It helps us to cater to both inexperienced and experienced users. Inexperienced users here is that once we once we come to any application now and we see that this is the shortcut for control X, control for copy, for paste, for cut, we just it's kind of a manual. It's a manual for us already, because we already know how to do it next time. That we don't have to go through these strenuous processes. So we don't have to go through these whole strenuous processes to cut something or to copy something or to. It's my voice too low, please. Let me know. All right. So principle seven, like I was saying, it helps us cater to both inexperienced and experienced users. So now, experienced users, they do not have to go through the strenuous process of right clicking on their mouse and getting all the options. They are already used to the application, so they can just click on Control C and Control V. So this involves things like keyboard shortcuts for power users and step-by-step wizards for beginners. So there are some applications that you're going to download on. Okay, there are some applications that you're going to download on Play Store, and before you get into the application proper, there would be some kind of onboarding. They will tell you that this is used for this is used for that, this is used for this is used for that. So it's a kind of, it promotes flexibility and efficiency of use. So the question you should be asking yourself here is, are shortcuts or customizations available in this application? Is it an application that you have to follow by the every single time, or is it flexible, and is it something we can use efficiently? So now it's aesthetic and minimalistic design. So this is the bare minimum. So this is the bare minimum of every user interfaces. Screens should not contain irrelevant or rarely needed information. Every extra unit of information competes with the relevant units and diminishes their relative abilities. So our design should be minimalistic, it should be aesthetic, it should be beautiful, yes, but it should be minimalistic. Use as little as possible. We are not graphic designers here, so we do not use shouty colors. We don't have to shout. We're not asking for attention here. We're giving value. That's the main difference between UI design and graphic design. So it should imbibe clean layouts, clear typography, and provide only essential information on each screen. So the question we should be asking ourselves here is the layout free of unnecessary elements? So now for this, now you see in this one, this has a lot of the person. This is a weather application. So the person went with person went with the sun icon, the cloud, like just to make everything like once you just look at it, you just know yes, this is a weather application. But it's not necessary. It makes the whole it's cluttered, especially as this is a mobile platform or a mobile application. Do you remember that when you're designing for mobile application, a mobile app or a mobile design is very small. You know how small your phone screen is compared to how big your laptop screen is. So make it as minimalistic as possible. So now you see, you're seeing the second one. The second one just it provided the necessary information. The temperature, 18 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. Then it gave you the date now on 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th. So it's just aesthetic and minimalistic. Do not do too much. Do as much as necessary that gives that value that you want and leave it at that. Sometimes they even say in UX that the lesser the better in UI UX. That's for the eighth principle. Now for the ninth principle, second to the last one, we should help us recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. So a lot of these principles are about errors because it's errors that it's errors are the one thing that repels users from our application. Yes, design must be simple, must be as simple as possible. Yes, when someone says a like I use Kuda. Kuda is my banking application. It's very simple to use. Do you not think that's a compliment? When they say something is simple to use, we are not. We're not about setting hard questions or complex interfaces. Our job is to make things as simple as possible. So when our design is simple, that's one of the best compliments you can ever get. I'm going to even share a book. I think the name of the book is "Don't Make Me Think." So as user interface designers or as user experience designers, it's our job to make sure our user interfaces doesn't make users think. Yes, David, you can still use graphic design ideas to support it. Yes, yes, especially the UI aspect. Thank you. Now, for principle nine, our job is to help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. So, error messages should be expressed in plain language. It should precisely indicate the and it should constructively suggest a solution. For example, your password must be at least 8 characters instead of error 102. So, like, let's say here you're signing up for a new platform and you're typing in your password, and they tell you your password is too big. Try again. It's kind of ambiguous because you do not know how is it too big. What should I have changed? So, what should I change? Password is too big. So, the error message is not clear. So how can we make this better? If you look at the second option, you see that there's a set of checklists. David, please stop annotating on the screen, please. So now you see they say at least 8 characters, at least one number, at least one uppercase character. So now at this point, when we are having an error message, we find out that at least one number is the error message here now. So we are sure we know that Zoom user, please, you please stop annotating on the screen, please. It's fine. Okay, now so for this second one, you see we are looking at new password, and it's clear to us that what is missing in our password is numbers. That there is no numbers in our password. So this helps users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. So imagine if you click on a form, you are filled in a form, and you click on the submit. And instead of getting a relevant error message, you just get error 102. what will you do with error 1 or 2? It doesn't help. It doesn't inform your decisions. It doesn't help you do something better. So we should. It's our job as UI designers to make sure that users we help users to recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. So these are the little things we're supposed to be looking at in every design that we are analyzing, whether it's our competitors or our own designs. So the question we should be asking here is: Are error messages clear and helpful? For principle 9. And now for the 10th principle, help and documentation. This is as simple as customer service, feedback, frequently answered questions. So even though it is that the system can be used without documentation, it may be necessary to provide help. So such information should be easy to search, should be focused on the user's tasks, should be concise, and list concrete steps to be carried out. Examples include frequently answered questions, searchable support sections, and contextual help. So most of the websites we see when you go to Google Chrome or wherever, most of the websites you see, very last section of the website are usually frequently answered questions. Those are the questions that it provides help to the users. Whatever question you have in mind, whatever question you want to ask, or you have an answer to be provided there. So that's what Principle 10 is about. That does this application provide help and documentation? Now, even in WhatsApp, an application that we are using in Spotify or YouTube, you see things like the privacy policy. In the settings section, there's a place you will definitely see help somewhere in the settings. So it's not something that people reach out for a lot, but it should always be available to our users. Now, the question you should be asking yourself here is help readily accessible to users? So now, those are the 10 usability heuristics. And why are these heuristics important? Like I've said before, they provide a shared language to discuss usability. Now, even before we pitch our products out to users, even before we we start asking users about a particular product, we can use these usability principles to evaluate a product to know if of these 10 usability heuristic, which one are we falling behind on and which one can we improve on. It also helps to identify usability issues early, saving time and resources. It ensures consistency and reduces cognitive load, ensuring that products are easier to use and more enjoyable for users. So these principles are not strict rules, but they are flexible guidelines that apply across a wide range of digital products and platforms, remaining relevant for decades in the evolution of user experience design. Yeah. So the key takeaway from this class now is that first of all, market research. We talked about market research. Market research is done to gather insights about users, market trends, and customer behaviors. It is this method like surveys, interviews, which are parts of primary research, and data analytics, which is part of secondary research. Then computer analysis helps you to understand where your product stands among others in the market. It involves comparing features, strengths, and weaknesses of both direct and indirect competitors. The usability heuristics are key principles that make products more user friendly and ensure usability. They include rules like providing feedback, maintaining consistency, and preventing errors. So the Jacob Nelson heuristic help designers catch usability issues when analyzing competitors. Together, these methods support more strategic, user-focused, and effective design solutions. So those are the takeaway from the class. So now I would just like to whenever you see an application, any the next application that you see, or the next even as you're looking at Discord, right? As you're looking at your Zoom meeting right now, just have these usability heuristics in mind, these 10 principles in mind whenever you are analyzing any application on any product. Like, do they offer feedback? Are they maintaining consistency? Is there options to prevent errors? Most of the times, when we're using an application and we are being frustrated, it's most probably they are failing at one of these. So the next time we are frustrated with an application, try to identify what is that frustration from. Like, what is causing the frustration? Is it something that we can link to these principles? Just have these principles in mind. They are the key principles that they make a product user friendly and they ensure usability. So when there most of the time when there is a problem with usability, it stems from one of these principles. Something is wrong somewhere. So that's the mindset I would like every one of us to have from today on one from today henceforth. Yeah. So questions. Sorry, these questions. Is there any questions? For the people that were left behind, ask your question now. I'm listening. Just raise up your hand if you have a question. Hey, Adebajo. Adebajo. I'm okay.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, Ayomide.
Please, can you like go back to the sixth? I think that those principles, the sixth one. I have a question on it.
Okay, hold on. Okay, this is the sixth one.
Okay, the example you used for it, that's where
Okay.
yes. So I wanted to ask that um the part where you said that part where recent like profiles people profiles are listed.
Yeah.
Like, let me use Instagram as an example now. Like there are a lot of people using Instagram. So
Okay.
like, is it possible to design like a lot of like profiles for different kind of people? Or is it the people that are coding the design that are going to input this
Yes,
I don't
yes,
know.
yeah. Yes, it's the that and they're coding in the design. All these things are back end. It's just left for you as a UI UX designer to let them know that when a user is searching for a specific item, there should be an option where the recent means that these are people that they have searched for before, or people that they have indicated interest in before. So these all these things are has been stored in the back end of the application. So it's your job as a UI designer. You are now you're the one taking it through, letting them know that the have been searched for, like recent mean that people that you have searched for recently should be recalled from the back end and should be presented to the users anytime that they want.
Oh, okay. So you
Do you
mean we
understand?
should like design it like this, and then we let the back end developers know that this is how it is
Yes,
meant to be?
yes, 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 yes. We communicate like in the whole design process when trying the implementation stage. Every design decision you're making, you're communicating with the developers, you're communicating with the backend developers and all, and it's back
Oh,
and forth. Yeah.
okay. Thank you very much.
I think you're welcome. Any other question? Okay. Okay. As a UI, okay. Let me read. Okay. Before I get there, Emmanuel, let's hear a question.
Okay. The last question. I mean, the last person asked the question. So
Okay.
I'm curious. Are you saying as a UI UX designer, we can't create an application without the use of these backend developers and front-end developers? I don't know if you got my question.
I do not get your question.
So we can't design any application, we can't design anything at all without the use of the front
Okay.
end and the back end.
Um, the thing that you have to focus on your keywords. Your keywords is design. Design. Are you saying designing? If it's just designing in particular, you are the only one designing everything. You are the only one. The UI
So
UX designer is the only one designing it. But
once you design, sorry,
creating is
once you do,
different.
okay.
Okay,
Okay, I
let me hear.
can. So I was saying, once we design, we can't. Somebody can make use of the design except they've implemented the codes and everything in it.
Yes, 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 yes. The um yes, when we design at some certain points, we might be able to add some interactions. Like as a UI designer, I can design this search section. I can design this search, and I can add some interactions that when you click on this Gustavo Diaz here, when you click on it with your mouse, you go to another screen. But there are certain limitations to it because it's just designing and interactions. But the actual implementation, the actual use of computer language, the actual manual work is has to be coded.
Oh, sorry.
I understand.
Two
All right,
Fanta.
thank you.
Can take the Fanta from there. Okay.
You think what?
Sorry, not you. Sorry.
All right, Emmanuel. So do you understand? Do you understand that?
Yeah, I understand. I
All
understand.
right,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you. All right, Joyce, let's hear your question.
Okay, ma. Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Okay, ma. So my question is, as a UI UX designer, there are some applications that may feel too heavy to use at like maybe you design something, for instance, WhatsApp now. Over time, we noticed that WhatsApp kept on changing stuff, like they kept on adding more features and all of that. So my
Mm,
question is, as a UI UX designer, are we allowed to freestyle? Maybe you can start with the basic features and then maybe as time goes on, you include other features. Or
yes,
is there a
yes.
specific standard you should follow when you're
Mm,
starting out?
okay. In design, it depends on what you're actually designing. But for every design or for every product you're designing, there's something called the minimum viable product, meaning that this product should do the minimum possible things it was created for. Please, Joyce, can you mute your mic, please? I think your background noise is a lot. Okay. So there's something called the minimum viable product. For every product that you're designing or you're creating, there's a minimum flow it should have. Let's say you're designing a job board application or something like Upwork, where you apply for jobs and you get recruited and you put your profile. So for this product now, the minimum um the minimum expectations here is that first of all, users should be able to log in and log out. Users should be able to sign in and create an account. Users should be able to put in their details like their resume, their profile, and all. Third, users should be able to see job positions from companies because it's a job board application. Something called the minimum viable application. So before you put an application out there, you should be able to do the minimum things. So there might be some extra things like maybe you want in this your job board application, you want to add the use of AI where AI can help you to tailor your applications or your resume to to companies that you're applying for. So this is an extra feature that may not be necessary in that beginning stages of a product. So in every design you're doing, your focus should be on the minimum viable product. So that at any point like, you're pushing a product out there, you should be able to do the minimum things required of it. So I do not know if that makes sense. That is if it's a product that it's you want to obtain value for, or you're giving value to get money from. That's what I'm trying. Or you're working for a company. So at each stage, like I said before, the design process is iterative. It's continuous. You keep improving and improving and improving. Like exactly what you said. WhatsApp, they are still changing their UI till date. And I don't even know how old WhatsApp is. WhatsApp has millions of users, but they are still changing things, changing, adding this Meta AI that is in WhatsApp now was not there before. It's an added feature. But at the very first start of WhatsApp implementation, It could do the minimum things of sending a message and receiving replies. Maybe status might not have been there at first, so that's just your focus should be on the minimum viable products. I don't know if that makes sense. Sorry. Joyce, let's hear from you. Joyce.
Yes, ma, I can hear you. Yeah, I
Okay.
understand. It makes sense. Yeah,
Thank you so
thank you.
much. All right. Okay. Is there any more question? Let me read the one on the chat section. Okay. So David Akimboye said, "You said we can find the last class on YouTube because this is the first time I'm joining." Yes, the last class is on YouTube. I pinned the YouTube link. So after this class will also be uploaded on YouTube as class 4 because this is our fourth class. All classes from the first class are on YouTube. Everything is there, David. So now William Okafor asked, as a UI UX designer, do we also analyze data while doing marketing research? Yes, yes, we do. We do because any data you are getting or you are obtaining is useless if you are not analyzing it or synthesizing it because it's a load of information. Analyzing data means making sense of data, making sure that this data is something that you can gain insights from, gain information from that you're going to implement in your design. So not just getting data and keeping it there is nothing. So you have to analyze it. So yes, we also analyze that data when doing marketing research. That's why I laid emphasis on UI UX designer being two different disciplines, the UI and the UX. Most people think the UI is just the visuals. That's why people are talking about comparing graphic designers to UI designers. It's UI and this is UX. UX involves a lot of research, a lot of analysis. It's not just the colors and the fonts. This is our fourth class, and till date, we have not done anything like colors and fonts and typographies because we have to start from the very basics, the UX, the user experience. So yes, as a UI designer, we have to analyze data even when doing marketing research. So Abigail asks, I'm sorry, William, does that answer your question? Okay, I do not know if he's here, but let's go ahead to Abigail. She asked, is Nelson's heuristics applied with market research, or is it a key that helps designers on its own? Or is it a key that helps designers on its own? Hold on. Okay, the Nelson heuristics, it's both. It's both. But the whole idea of the Nelson's heuristics that it can be applied to any digital product, whether if you're analyzing the digital product during your marketing research and you're applying the Nelson's heuristics, fine. If you're applying the Nelson heuristics to your own product, you are done with your own design, you're done with the whole implementation and everything, and you're evaluating your design, comparing it against these heuristics, fine. So it can be applied to each of them. It's a key that it's like I said, it's general, it's not specific to anything. As far as it's a digital product, as far as it's something that people are using or that sometimes will be used, it should be applied to it. So yeah, okay. So Olushola asked about the 9 slides, talking about minimalism. How do you draw the line between a minimalistic design and a boring design that might not appeal to users? Wait, let's go there. Mhm. Mhm. Sorry, hold on. Okay, like I said, it's not just minimalistic design. I said aesthetic and minimalistic. Minimalistic doesn't mean it has to be boring. I do not know if that makes sense. Minimalistic doesn't mean it has to be boring. It should be both aesthetic and minimalistic. Minimalistic just means that use as little as possible. That's why I say. That's why I said the lesser the better. Use as little as possible. Where in whatever design decisions you are trying to make, just use as little as possible. So now in this design now, there's a lot of there's colors, there's the cloud, and there's the sun icon, and there's the cloud icon. In here too, there's the cloud icon, and there's the sun icon. So they are implementing the same thing, but this one is implementing a lot of it. So it's not minimalistic in this sense here. But they are it's but this is minimalistic and aesthetic at the same time. So I do not know if I'm answering your question clearly, but when I say minimalistic, I just mean use as little as possible to convey the information you want to convey. It not mean make it boring. Once it's boring, you know. Once it's boring, you know. Sorry. Understood, ma. Use as little as possible. Thank you. Okay, is there any book to read as a newbie? Yes, there is. There's a lot. I'm a reader, so I have a lot of ebooks, and if we want, I can share it with us in the group section. There's a particular ebook, Don't Make Me Think. Like it focuses on this. Hold on, sorry. On this principle six, recognition rather than recall. Okay. Don't make me think. I would send the book. I will share the book to us. All right. No, I have not done any practicals before this class. No practicals yet. Practicals will start next month, or when we get there. We are still at the empathize phase. So at the point when we reach the ideating stage, when we talk about brainstorming and prototyping, that's when we'll start being practicals and hands-on. So now, for people that are having issues with their people are having issues with their task or the LMS, please let me know.
Can I talk?
Yeah, you can.
So yes, I think I'm the first person who has a major issue with it. I was not in the last class. I had something
Okay.
to attend to. So I couldn't even follow after watching the video. So I don't know if you can just, shed more light, especially on the second one that has to do with that task where you spoke about real world problems that can be solved using technology and then how to conduct the interview and survey.
Okay, what I just want in that task is just I just want it's I know I see I don't expect it to be perfect because everybody here is a beginner. So just look around you. What are problems that you can spot? What are problems? It can be as little as traffic, like, yeah, if you are situated in Lagos and getting to your location is always a problem because of how tight the traffic is. It can be food delivery. It can be a learning platform for students. So just think of any problem at all. Any problem at all. It could be okay, we are currently in Nigeria, we are currently undergoing inflation or something like that. So there's a lot of money problems. Budgeting. Okay, I would like to create a budgeting application that helps students budget their money better or track their spending and all. Just think about anything, any problem you can think of that you think you can solve digitally, or you think you can create a product that can solve it. And when you
So
have thought of, yeah,
about the summary, the interview, you said we should do a summary about.
yeah. Okay, for the interview summary is what I want there is if you I gave you guys two options. You can decide to do an interview or do a survey. So first of all, you're going to if you're doing a survey, you're going to get your demographics, that's their name, their age, their gender. Then start asking some specific questions about this problem they are trying to solve. Gain insight. That's why I talked about open-ended and close-ended questions. Ask them questions that will give you insights on how on what do they want. My first attendance. What do they want? What do they want? How do they want it to be solved? Just depending on the problem that you are trying to solve, you will get questions that you can ask your users to gain insights from it. That's what I thought about empathy, empathizing with them. So user interview, you can just get your close friends or people close to you and just sit them down and ask them about this problem that okay, if you decide on going to the budgeting route, what are the problems you're having with tracking your income? What applications have you used before? Is it helping? It's not helping. What do you think you would add? Let's say if someone is using Piggyverse, just ask the person, what would you add to Piggyverse to what do you think would add to this to make it better for you? Or what is your complaint about Piggyverse? So these are the insights you just
Your voice is cracking.
can just are the insights you can just sorry are the insights you can just generate. So this gives you key insights on if you now decide to go ahead with this solution from this insight, what people have complained all right, so okay, month. This month.
Yes, I can hear you.
So so it does do you have more questions?
Now, the screenshots were meant to attach to the Google documents in the first one.
Okay.
Are these
Okay.
screenshots from the product we're reviewing, or these screenshots are screenshots of comments that people we ask to, that people are basically running a survey on?
No, no, no. Those are screenshots. For the first question, the screenshots are screenshots of the application. Let's say I request the task was to find a popular product and identify problems with it. So now I've talked about these usability heuristics that's giving you guys a broader idea. So let's say you spot a problem in a particular page, screenshot that page, then write out the problem as the comment. That was what I meant there.
Okay, I understand
All
now.
right. All right, thank you. Okay, so for Patrick, I was asking if we should send out the sub demographics. Well, it's there's still time, but you should always start with demographics when you're sending out a survey because you want to know you want to know what You want to know who is answering those questions or who is giving you those data. It's also part of the research analysis. So as much as you're getting, you want qualitative information as the problem, why the problem is happening. You want insights on who the problem is happening to. So you should know who your target users are. When you send out demographics and you find out that, okay, majority of the people who are having this problem or who are using these applications are people in their 30s, it gives you an idea on who to target. So it's a very, very important part of the whole survey. So you shouldn't leave it out, Patrick. So I should send the surveys again. Have you submitted? I don't know. I think you can edit a survey. You can edit it. I think you can edit the survey, then resend it. Okay, Chioma asked. All right, Patrick, you edit the survey. Edit the survey and resend if that's possible. So Chema asks, just to confirm for the tax, we either have to conduct a survey with at least 10 responses or an interview with 5 persons. Yes. So choose the one you want to perform. If you are capable and perform both. So either you interview 5 persons and give me the research summary. I want to see questions. Like, don't just when you give me when you if you're conducting a survey, I want to see the responses. I want to see the charts that Google form created for you because they create charts and pie chart and all. I want to see what the responses are. I want to see the research summary that out of 10 people that answer these questions, 5 had problem with this, 3 had problem with this. So I want what you're submitting for me should have insights, should give me tangible information. Understand? It shouldn't just be random asking people questions. We are going. You may remember go into user research with a goal in mind. There should be a goal in your mind when you're conducting the research, and at the end of the research, you should be attaining this goal. If that makes sense. Yeah. So, is there any other question? For people that are having issues with promotion, if everybody should be promoted, to be honest, everybody should be promoted. If you're still having zero, if you are graded 0 in your LMS, it means that you have not granted access to me, like granted edit access or comment access. Wait, let me share my screen so do this thing once and for all because I'm tired of seeing submissions without access. I do not know why you are doing this thing to me. I don't know why you are doing this to me, to be honest. Let me share. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so now, Emmanuel, now, so this is what I see. This is what I see when I click on your links. For some people that did not grant access to me, so there's no way I can grade you. I'm also going to request access, and it will be sent to your email, but still no response from anybody. So if you have been graded 0, it means that you did not grant access to your document or you submitted something else, like you submitted Google link to me, submitted WPS link to me. I gave you guys another option, send the link to me in my DM, but still now people haven't reached out to me. So what other? I have been graded, but I haven't been promoted. I am in the UP this evening. Heuristic means principles, basically. Heuristic principle, second assignment given on elements. So you should assess second assignment given on elements if you have been graded and promoted. So after this call, I'm going to make sure everybody that has been graded will be promoted. Ayomi, they will look into your matter too. So any person, I do not know. I've graded everything I spot. Abdullah, okay, I'm sorry. Abdullahi or David, let's hear from you.
But can I talk?
Yeah, let's hear from you.
Concerning this, what you share recently, like this last thing you share, and I've already submitted the documents, but the documents link is somehow blur, like it doesn't show the submit link, Gary. It somehow it doesn't bring that deep color, and the grade on it is 0.
I'm confused. Can you repeat your question?
Like how would I put this? You know what you show to them now about the documents, that Google documents. I submitted the Google documents,
Okay.
and what is bringing that over 100 is giving 0/100.
Okay. Have you
So you
granted?
get
Have you granted access to your documents?
no.
You have not granted access to your documents.
Yes, I
How
just
am
got
I
the
so
Google document.
how am I supposed to grade it?
Like all the things you asked me to do on that document, I already documented it, and I paste the link of the document here. But we are talking about the scoring, the grading stuff about the
Okay.
over 100. And the grading stuff there is 0/100. That's what is there.
Okay, I'm saying that this is for your submission, right? Your own.
Yes,
Okay, I'm saying that if your score is 0/100 till now, it means when did you submit today?
yes, overnight, like early in the
Submitted
morning, sir.
today.
Yes, early.
David, you might check your LMS again in the evening.
Okay,
It will be graded and promoted. Don't worry. Wait. Hold on.
okay.
Because all of you see what you do for me is go to make sure your documents that it is settings. Your document, make sure it's set to allow all users, allow anybody with the link to access it, to see it. Can you can you share your screen,
Hello?
David?
Ma,
Can you hear your? Okay, hold on. Sorry.
okay. I can share it if you ask me to share it.
Share your screen. Share your screen. Please,
Okay.
you can leave the call if you're unless you have a problem you want me to talk about. Our class for today is over. Thank you. David, share your screen.
Okay, ma. I will share it. Ma, can you see what I'm doing?
Can't see it.
I hope you can able to see what I'm doing, ma.
Are you
Hello, ma.
sharing your screen? I don't think you're sharing your screen. I can't see your screen.
Can you see my screen now?
No. Do you know
Oh
how
my
to share
God.
your screen?
I don't. I'm trying to look for the. Okay. Ma, can you just tell me where I can share my screen here? I'm going to start the video.
Okay, in this Zoom call, in Zoom, no, in Zoom call, in this Zoom, you'll see um,
Okay.
participants chat,
Can you see it, ma?
react,
Okay.
and share. Can you share? It's great.
I'm on network. Ma, can you see what I'm doing? Okay. Ma, can you see what I'm doing? Ma, can you see what I'm doing, ma? Okay, network great. Ma, can you see what I'm doing? Okay. Hello, ma. Hello, ma. Can you see? Hello?
David, I can see your screen now. Okay, go to your Google
Oh,
Chrome, go to your Google Drive, your drive.
my drive.
Click on
Okay.
access.
This one, right?
Yes, product, yes. Now go to the document you submitted. Hold on.
Okay. I'm coming.
Yeah, my tax
This
in
is
CodeCamp.
document.
Okay, yeah. Now go up, go up, go up, up, up. That three icon, 1, 2, 3. Click on it.
I'll click on it.
Okay, click on share and export. Let's see. Click on manage
I'll click
access.
on.
Manage access.
Okay.
Okay. Then click on. I see where they said restricted general access. See, they said restricted. I see.
Yes.
Click on
Yes.
change. Change.
Okay.
Move. Click on it. Anyone with the link. Click on anyone with the link. I saying that it was restricted and I could not access it.
Okay.
Exactly. Now go back. Go back. Exactly. So now anyone with the link can view. Even ask. Look at me there. So if I said I asked to be an editor, but do not worry about it anymore since you have already given general access. So if you're
Oh.
also on this call and you have please make sure it's general access that anyone with the link can
Which means it's
your
going to affect you, right?
promote
Yes, ma'am. There's going to be an inflation
and
here, right?
yes,
Yes. Seriously. The network is bad. Yes, ma'am.
we've been able to remove those checklists. David, you can stop, stop, stop sharing.
Are you able to join us? You pour water here.
David, please,
Ma,
David, please mute your mic. Mute your mic.
okay, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Okay. So, is there any other problems, or just we have already exceeded our time limit for the call? Oluwaseun, hold on. Let me see. Okay. She said, how do you see if you have been graded and promoted? So there's a difference between graded and promoted. If you have been graded and promoted, you should see the task, the second task. It will be there on your LMS dashboard. Okay, Faith said I have been graded, but mine keeps. No, Faith is not on this call anymore. So just if you have any other issues, tag me in the Discord channel, and I'll try as much as possible to reply. So how do we get promoted? You are going to get promoted now. Don't worry. Check back on your LMS. It's it's um it's it's promotion is ongoing, so you should be promoted soon. I've seen your name, Oluwaseun, though it's not your full name. So, all right now. Good night, everybody. I'll see you all on Monday. Night, David. You're welcome, David.